Hey guys, what's going on? Good morning. Welcome to our morning note. It is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday. Happy Friday, February 21, 2020. 9 a.m., you know where you are. It's time for the morning note. All right, so let's take a look at the markets. Dow futures are down 100 after that nice little dip yesterday, but then it got bought back up. NASDAQ down 34, S&P down 13. The VIX is up about 6. Crude is down about 1.6%. The dollar taking a little bit of a slide. Bitcoin is up about 2%. 30-year bonds yields are now at an all-time low. The 10-year is still catching a bid on the bonds. Gold is up about 16.43 an ounce, 1.4% up. Here's the deal. Look at GLD. GLD we played this week. We had the 152 calls in the money, right? We got it at 44 cents. It's at 73 cents. So keep in mind, with GLD, don't expect a ton of return because the premiums move very, very slow. So again, when you see 40 to 50%, you take it. But it's more of a hedge play than anything else. You're not going to get explosive growth like you would on a Tesla, AMD, or what have you. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you hold it, keep runner the whole time, and you can go from there. Okay, so let's see here on the markets. Space is what I'm looking at today, as always. We're holding the 50-day moving average right now, kind of holding that level. Of course, I still own the stock. I own some calls, and we're holding that. Again, I sent out to the members and to Instagram the nice trend line. We did break it on space, but again, you could see, in my opinion, we've had every opportunity to get a flush, almost like a 10%, 17% flush, and we haven't had it. We really haven't had that flush yet. So that would indicate a really healthy stock where you can get that kind of pullback. Then you get an upside. So again, this is the way it goes, guys. You don't get straight up all the time. You kind of have to get those moves. Look at a Tesla, same thing. If you bring up our chart, guys, is that we're holding trend on Tesla to the upside. 968 is my level to break. I almost bought an extra share on Tesla yesterday at 830. I did not. I just kind of held off, but I'll take a look and see if I buy some. I just haven't bought any recent today or yesterday, excuse me. AMD is another one I'm looking at. I have some of the next week's calls. You could see this trend line is still intact, right above the 100-day moving average. It's holding pretty solidly, even though in a red market. So I expect it to bounce back and actually fill this big fall here, that middle of the day fall that we've had across the market that no one really expected. Target moved very well yesterday. It was up about 0.6%, even in a red market. That's a really good sign. I like a Target if we get a recovery, which I'm expecting today. 118.82 is that level. We break that, we're getting to 120. We own the 121 calls. I know it was a longer dated option, but the volume was there. I like this play. I like the chart. Bouncing off that 100-day and that trend line, it's a really good sign. I really like Target. Looking at Square, 85.20, still holding up, about 50 cents off the closing price, holding that trend, bounced very nicely. I really like this play too. I don't own the stock, but I own the calls on it. So keep an eye on Square. But GLD, absolutely massive move. If you are thinking that you're going to get some overnight moves, the chart is very nice. It's a breakout across the board and actually broke above that 151.90 level, which is what was needed to break that resistance. And it's just continuing to go up. So GLD could be in play. Just keep in mind, you can try to get into for next week's expiry. I would, if that's the case. But let's see if we get that continuation. I would put an alert right above 154.85 to actually recapture that high. If you want to play something else, TLT, which is the bonds, you could see another breakout. Perfect breakout here, clean off 146.06. I'm going to place an alert at 148.09, which is the recent highs. The only thing about TLT, doesn't have a lot of volume. GLD tends to, but TLT does not. So remember, 1,000 volume for next week. Take a look at that. Let's see the questions here. Brandon Smith. Morning, Carlos. Hey, I think they're great. I mean, if you want to go ahead and get in, by all means. And you can see the action on options. But I follow them on Twitter. They seem like a legit deal. And I like them. I absolutely like them. Let's see. TLT squared. Let's see what else is the next one. Oh, let's take a look at pre-market movers. That's another thing I want to look at. We could take a look here. Big movers. Sprint is up 6%. T-Mobile's down a little bit. Dropbox had a good quarter, but also doing some buybacks. Tesla's up 1%. First Solar down 12. There you go. Apple down about 1.5%, even though this market is pretty much red. Beyond, kind of green. Roku taking a little bit of a slide, 0.77%. Nvidia down 1.2%. AMD only down 0.77%. So I haven't gotten into Nvidia lately. We got it this week. But I like AMD. Keep in mind, Microsoft down 0.5%. It moved very close with the market. So just keep in mind, it moves close with the market. If you had 185 call on Microsoft, would you hold? Retired Knicks fan. I'm a Knicks fan. Shout out to the Knicks. We're terrible, but it's all good. Let's see. Microsoft. Microsoft, again, guys, it's a low beta, meaning it moves with the market. If you have the 185 calls, be very careful for expiry for today. I would say by 10:30, you could see where you're going to be at. Maybe by 11. If you don't get to in the money by 10:30, 11, get out of it and just salvage what you can. Hey, man, good morning. What do you think about Uber? Uber. Okay, that's Sean. Sean asked about Uber. Let's take a look at it. Uber is doing pretty well, holding up. I own the stock. I want to see a break of 41.86 to the upside before I do anything on it. And for support, you can see this kind of new level of resistance that became support now, 39.20. I'm going to place an alert there. That'll be below the 200 and the 100. So that's a good level to see if we get a break. Last time we tapped it, we did bounce. So just keep that in mind. The big movement was on earnings and continued, but we're still kind of rangy here. Wouldn't do anything until we break those levels. TGT we just spoke about, held up very nicely yesterday in a red market. I think we get some continuation to the upside. It's only down 16 cents right now. Any kind of recovery, I think TGT goes up. We break 118.80, tap 120. Our 121 calls are going to be nice. Yeah, Marcos asked about Microsoft. Microsoft, I'm looking at it. By 10:30, we gotta get some movement here. We tapped right near that resistance, but that big red candle fall from the market, just market wide, everyone took a hit on it. You could see now we kind of settled here at the bottom here around 183, but you could see, honestly, looking forward, it wouldn't be bad, but you need to break the 188.17 level to make any kind of move on it. What are moving average should I use? Sonia asks, 100-day and 200-day. I use 100 and 250. So again, you can use those how you like. Let's see. No Jimmy Butler love in Miami. No, Jimmy Butler is great. I'm actually going to the Heat game with my brother and my friends. It's his birthday in 2 weeks, so he got tickets to see the Dwayne Wade retirement game. So I'll be watching that game with him. I'm not a Heat fan. I'm a Knicks fan, and we're awful. Hey, good morning. Noah asks, any thoughts on JPM? JPM is one of two bank stocks that I like. Looking at it here, as bond yields are falling, keep in mind interest rates go down, so banks tend to get a hit. We're just seeing chop here. I wouldn't play at anything here. If you wanted to get a JPM, you'd have to break 139.29. If you wanted to go to get some puts, you'd have to break down below 135. Thoughts on Lululemon, okay. Lululemon looks very nice, breaking out beautifully. I don't see a lot of options volume. Usually, that's why I haven't played it. I would break 266.20 before looking at any calls. Until then, I'm not doing anything. I'm not touching it. But the 100-day moving average, 254.10, use that as your support for Lulu. But right now, we're at 262 pre-market. Next one is Starbucks. I own the stock personally. Starbucks. 88.30. You can see just kind of rangy, same thing. We tapped some resistance here around 90-ish. Been holding here, we're right around the 200. Just rangy, guys. I wouldn't touch any kind of calls or puts on it until you get a nice breakdown, maybe around 86. If anything, you could target maybe 84, and then you need to break that clean 91 level to see if you get some upside to 94. I have an alert at 94.29. Next one is Nike, another stock that I own. Nike has been a slow mover this year, but I'm pretty sure with it's not a growth company by any stretch. And of course, with the China stuff, but they've been holding on pretty tight. And you can see the price action is basically nothing. We've just been between 100 and 104, 4% range for the past month. I mean, it's just been back and forth, back and forth. I like the stock, but don't expect a lot of movement on it. Apple, let's take a look at Apple together. Apple, again, another range-bound one. Nothing to do here. See that big red candle, right? Just back and forth. 316.04 has been kind of respected. That 423.6 fib line, but again, nothing to do here until you break to the upside of 327 or 312.35 to the downside. Let's see, TLT. I talked about TLT. TLT is a very slow mover when it comes to options, so don't feel the need to jump back in. 148.09 to see if the break to the upside will give you an opportunity to check on TLT options volume. Other than that, can't really tell anything for you on it. Nvidia, same thing. It's down pre-market. We tapped that resistance to a T around 318. We thought we were going to get 320. We played it this weekend. We profited, and it actually soared. Some of our members got like 400% on it. But 317.18, just a big fade, market fade. Again, big red candle. Everyone sees it, and you could see right that red candle that happened yesterday, mid-afternoon, right on 305. Looks like a carved a bottom. I think we'll get down to 300 personally before we bounce up. But again, this seems to be the new range. You see level 1, level 2, level 3, right? You're level 1 here, you're level 2, level 3, now we're in level 4, and then above 318 will be your level 5 next support and resistance levels. But again, still a very bullish trend. I like it long term. I don't own it, but again, Nvidia is looking nice. Morpheus asks, I asked when we talked at NIO yesterday, and it was the most traded option 2020. Wait for expiration. Nice, man. Well, Steve Mata asks about Roku. Okay, Roku has been very ugly lately. I own the stock too, and you could see just ugliness. Big pop on earnings and then fell. And I actually read the transcript of that call on that earnings, and it was absolutely amazing. So again, it could just be the shorts taking over here or massive profit taking, one of the two. If you wanted to go short, guys, I mean, I played Roku twice this year, and I've gotten eaten every time. And both times I've been down to the downside. It just keeps getting bounced. So 120.35 for the downside to break, so you can play puts. If we bring up a 4-hour chart, you could see descending triangle. I played a descending wedge, and I got hit. The premiums went to hell. My analysis was right, but ran out of time. And then it fell, and then it bounced, and then chop, and then earnings, and then it fell. You could see the descending trend line to the downside. It could be good for puts, but you have to wait for 120.35 to do anything on it. Next one is BABA. BABA right now, again, just chop fest, man. This is where premiums get eaten, guys. 217.01. Before you even do anything, you want to talk at least below 213. Maybe 212.75 before I do anything on BABA. Again, I still like it for the upside for the most part, but right now, anything Chinese, just be very careful. There's other names to play. Just get away from BABA for now. What's the key to getting filled every time on the limit? Well, it's just about pricing. It's about timing. Remember, if you do your trade at 9:30 in the morning, more likely you're not going to get filled at limit. So again, price is important, but again, you should always, on your TD Ameritrade, it'll always give you a midpoint to fill. If you're not filled within 2 minutes or a minute, change the limit price. Or if you're doing options, maybe market. But before you do a market order, make sure to look at the bid and the ask. The bid and ask needs to be very tight, 2-3 cents max. Anything wider than that, you're going to take a hit. So remember, if you have a 50% bid to ask, meaning it's 50-cent bid, an hour, a dollar ask, you buy in the ask, you're already red 50%, no matter what happens. Remember, you buy at the ask, you sell at the bid, always. That's the key. So again, the tight range is the key. Tight range. Tight bid spread, which is your spread. Excuse me. Sean says, thank you for this. You're welcome. I have 90 puts for April. All these stocks I have puts through April. Okay. You have long-term and long calls and calls long-term. Okay. Yeah, that's good. You're kind of hedging the way you want to do things. You want to just hedge it. Makes sense. All right, what other questions we have today? All right, so fast and furious, you guys. All right, I guess we'll end it there, guys. I got to get back to my members. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'll catch you guys Monday for a nice full week in the markets. This week was a short week. We'll see what we get. Rock and rolling. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Make it a profitable one. And Tesla, we talked about it. It's right in that trend line, guys. 9910. I think 968 hits. Not today, obviously, unless we get a nice push, but we'll see. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe out there.